On 5 News, the homegrown vaccine that will help us beat the pandemic. Also, England will come out of lockdown on December the 2nd, but the Prime Minister warned there will still be tough restrictions. Hello and welcome to 5 News. I'm Dani Sinha. Scientists in the UK have delivered a hugely significant breakthrough in the fight against COVID. A vaccine developed by Oxford University has been shown to be up to 90% effective in trials. That's similar to vaccines being developed in the United States, but it carries even more benefits. The Oxford jab is far cheaper and easier to store, and the UK government has already ordered enough doses for 50 million people. Almost all the population. Well, let's speak to our health correspondent, Catherine Jones, who's outside the lab in Oxford for us. And Catherine, this is really exciting news, isn't it, from the team there? So, Catherine, the crucial question, how long until the vaccine might become available here? Well, the Prime Minister welcomed the news of the vaccine as he announced the latest plans for restrictions in England. He said when lockdown ends next Wednesday, the tiered system will return, and though shops, hairdressers and gyms can reopen, the news for many pubs, bars and restaurants may not be as good. Let's speak to our chief correspondent, Tessa Chapman. And Tessa, what more do we learn then? So, Tessa, we know what those tiers will look like, but how will they decide which tier each area goes into? Well, as Tessa said, next week, people in England will be able to go to shops, gyms and hairdressers again. Pub and restaurant visits will depend, though, on which tier you're in. Well, many businesses rely on the run-up to Christmas to pack in customers and, of course, bring in money. But in a year when that's needed more than ever, it's far from guaranteed to happen. Peter Lane reports from Liverpool. Well, this week, the Chancellor is going to spell out the damage that's been caused to the economy by the pandemic. He'll also unveil the measures that he hopes will fix it, and they're likely to affect all of us in some way. Let's now speak to our political editor, Andy Bell. And Andy, what are we expecting then to hear from the Chancellor?
Yes, Danny.
Andy, there's also another group of workers paid for by taxpayers who may not be getting a pay rise. Coming up on 5 News. I'll see you after the break. Hello and welcome back. In recent weeks, each nation of the UK has taken a different approach to lockdown measures. But when it comes to Christmas, they're keen to show a more unified approach. And they're all agreed that any relaxation of rules is done carefully. Let's speak to Alan Jenkins in Edinburgh. And Alan, just how close are we to hearing what Christmas might look like this year? Well, as Alan says, there's a split over whether families should be allowed to meet up this Christmas at all. For some, there's a real need to see loved ones who may have endured a tough year alone. For others, the risk of spreading the virus to vulnerable relatives is far too great. So, is it worth it? Simon Vigar has been hearing from families facing that dilemma. And finally, one of the men behind the Ice Bucket Challenge, which was hugely popular on social media in 2014, has died. Well, a remarkable man. And just before we go, Claudia Liza is here to tell us what's coming up on 5 News tonight.
Hi, Danny. Well, there is, of course, just one story tonight, and we are looking at when maybe we might just be getting out of this horrible pandemic.
Plenty to talk about. Claudia Liza, thank you. That's all from us. Claire Lazier has the weather next. I'll see you again soon. Have a lovely evening and good night.